Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? I want to ask you a question before we get started here, and then I want to share something that's real special to the Gipson family. What can we learn from our children? And while you're thinking about that, Hutch is going to lead us in a prayer for just a minute here.
Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this wonderful day. We just hope things that God leads us to, and we love you, Lord. And dear Lord, we just thank you for all this stuff you give us. And that was very nice of you, Lord. And we thank you so much, Lord, for this food you've given us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. I wanted to share that with you all because Hutch has pretty deep thoughts most of the time, so we're pretty proud of him. But while we were thinking about that, I wanted us to think about what can we learn from a child? So when I went into that, I thought, well, what are the characteristics of children? They're humble. I went ahead and pulled the definition of humble up. I know that we all know it, but it's having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's importance. Most children are very humble. They're innocent. As innocent as can be. They're dependent, unlike adults that are self-dependent. They rely on us for everything. They're trusting. They're honest. I'm going to use Hutch as an example tonight because he volunteered to help me. He came home from school yesterday and said, Mom, I don't really want to tell you this, but I got in trouble today. So he can't keep a secret. They're resilient, and they're always kind. And most of the time, they believe everything you say. You might say, well, why is this important? And I would have to say, because God thinks it's important. If you would like, let's read from Matthew chapter 18, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 9. At that time the disciples came to Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And calling to him a child, he put in the midst of them and said, Truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world for temptations to sin, for it is necessary that temptations come, but woe to the one by whom the temptation comes. And if your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life crippled or lame than with 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than with 2 eyes to be thrown into the hell of fire. I would say we can learn quite a bit from our children. I know I have. And those were my thoughts for tonight. And if there's anyone needing prayers or would like to put Christ on, we can do so now as we stand and sing. Jesus.